Hi everyone. Okay, so back with another lesson, and today's lesson, or this week's lesson, is going to be on how to get unstuck. So if we go to Google Classroom and share my screen. So here we are getting unstuck. So for those who don't know the story of Helen Keller, she was blind and deaf. So she spent most of her childhood without any ability to communicate with people around her. But when her teacher, we'll say Miss Sullivan, spelled water while running Helen's hand in water, Helen developed a lifetime curiosity with words and communication. So she was also the only one, or the first deaf and blind person to receive a university bachelor's degree. So after this lesson, the goal is to get unstuck, and we're going to use our solution to help us get unstuck. So we're focusing on our solution when we're facing problems, and we're going to use our grit to help us grow. So we have a couple of examples of students who are stuck. So we have Melanie, who has been working hard in her chemistry class, but she's failed her final exam and got a D in the class. So with that said, she's worried that that D is going to prevent her from getting into some colleges. And then we have Orion, whose girlfriend broke up with him, and he's devastated he can barely sleep at night. So it's affecting his physical well-being and mental well-being. So Melanie and Ryan are both experiencing the feeling of being stuck, which I think is common, and most people feel like that when things throw us off our routine or don't go our way, or it's something that we're not expecting to happen. So a stuck point is anytime you face a challenge in life, really. So this lesson is going to show us how to go from stuck points to solution points by being flexible in our thinking. So a lot of this is going to be reframing our thoughts from focusing on the challenge that we're facing and those thoughts or feelings of being uncomfortable, and focusing on our solution to help get us out of those feelings. So then we have a little quote right here from Vincent, who's a high school sophomore, and he says, "Whenever I get down, I just think of the lesson in which flexibility is the bridge towards the solution, and that I should turn stuck points to solution points." So how do we do that? So focusing on solutions. So when we're stuck, the problem we face takes over our mind. I think a lot of us can agree with that, whether we're going through a relationship, things that we don't want to happen, like if we've recently been broken up with, or we're facing rejection of any sort of job that we're trying to apply for, or we feel like things are just not going our way. It takes us time to get out of those feelings, and we also feel overwhelmed usually with that, and it's uncomfortable to be stuck in that place of where we don't know how to help ourselves. So back to Melanie. So she's worried that she got a D, and she doesn't know how she can get unstuck from this point because she's worried that it's going to affect her future and her getting into colleges. So when we think about how much Melanie dislikes chemistry, she gets in this cycle of just like, oh, I hate chemistry. I don't know how to get out of this. I'm now getting a D in the class, and I don't know if it's going to allow me to get into the college that I want to get into, or what college will even accept me. And then Ryan, whose girlfriend recently broke up with him, is thinking about all the pain he feels from losing his girlfriend. He's thinking about the memories they made together, the time they spent together, maybe if they met each other's families, that he really liked her family. So all of these thoughts are going through his mind, which I think are normal thoughts to have when we're in these positions of where we're not doing well in school, or where we lose a relationship, whether it's a friendship or having a significant other. So to get unstuck, we have to focus on the solution, not the problem. Otherwise, we could be stuck forever, right? We get in the cycle of focusing on our problem and not feeling happy with things. 1 second. No, you're fine.
Take a signal, please.
Yes. Do I push accept or?
And then first initial.
Oh, sorry.
And then last name. I could type it in.
Okay, McCormick, MCCORMICK. MCCORMICK.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You too. Okay, so when we're looking at Melanie, some solutions that she can focus on is talking to her teacher to retake her final. So she can also talk to her principal and counselor to see if there's a way of getting extra credit to bump her grade up so that she's not left with a D. And then she can also find colleges that will accept her with that D. So focusing on just that she's getting a D and kind of thinking that like, oh my gosh, like the world is like not working in her favor. That's life. Things are not going to go the way that we have them planned or in our favor. So we have to focus on solutions, and that will help us become unstuck and move forward. Okay, so Ryan, with losing his girlfriend, he can join a new sport to get his mind off of things, a new club. He can spend time with his friends and family, and he can also start dating someone else when he feels ready. So there's no reason to rush into dating someone else. Just use that as a distraction. We should focus on ourselves and how we can improve ourselves and our mental and physical well-being during that time when we're going through a loss or any sort of challenge that we're facing. So when you think about it, what challenge do you face today? I know for me, one of the challenges I face is struggling with doing things or when things come up and they're not planned or not part of my schedule. That's hard for me. So I have to focus on the solutions. I should give myself a buffer of kind of expecting the unexpected. And that kind of helps with allowing myself time for things that I'm not expecting. So that's my way of focusing on a solution that will help get me unstuck when I feel stuck. So the key is to spend 20% of our time focusing on our problems and the other 80%, which is majority of our time, focusing on our solutions. So part of the success mindset is helping keep or having ourselves keep an open mind. When we are closed-minded, it affects us because we're not open to other ideas, including solutions, and that's how we become unstuck. So growth can be hard, change is hard. These are things that are hard usually for everyone. No one really likes change or growth because those are uncomfortable feelings that we have going through those times. So many people just give up because they're frustrated, which is, I think, a normal reaction to have, but we want to kind of prevent that and not let ourselves get stuck with just being frustrated and giving up. It's okay to feel frustrated, but the key is to not stay frustrated so that we can move forward. So we can think about like a math class is too hard, a book takes too long to read. So what should we do when we get frustrated? We can take another look at the can do and the not yet circle. So if we take a look right here at the circle, when people say, oh, I can't do that, it's not that we can't do it, but we can't do it yet. So that's more the key mentality to have with these types of things. There's going to be certain things that we can't do, and that's okay, but we're learning how to do them, or we're going to get there eventually, right? So we have our can do and then our not yet cycle or circle, sorry. So our grit is your power to keep going when things get tough. So for example, Nino has always gotten C's in his math class. He sets a goal to get an A. The next week, he does his homework and tries to pay attention in class. But on the first quiz, after he's been paying attention and doing his homework, he gets a C. So he can either give up or he can show grit and keep going. So instead of giving up, he tries harder on his homework. And he also gets tutoring once a week from his teacher. He keeps working hard for months, and then finally he gets his first A in math. So his grit or his hard work, his desire to keep going when things are tough pays off, and it always will. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer for us to see that result, but as long as we keep going, it'll always show. So even making a change can be hard, whether it's with improving our grades, whether it's becoming more healthy, so being more mindful of what we eat, being more mindful of when we move our body. So exercising even when we want to come home from a long day of school, or if we're school and work, we come home and do we want to go for a walk or go to the gym and lift weights? Probably not. But it's more productive and we can make that change if we go for a short walk or we go to the gym instead of lounging on the couch with food that's like not healthy. Okay, so sometimes we have problems that are a little too big to tackle on our own, or we really don't see a solution to it, and that's okay. But sometimes we need that help. So we can always ask for help from family, from teachers, from doctors if we have problems that seem too big for us to handle on our own. And then we have this short video with Maui and how he handles bigger problems. And it's okay to ask for help when we need help. That's a good skill to focus on when we need help. Sometimes we don't see the solution or we don't know how to help ourselves, and that's okay. Admitting that and being aware of that is powerful in itself. And that's the first step to making the change. Okay, so this is just a little review of our success mindset of getting unstuck. So hopefully after this, we've gained some knowledge and let me see this. Gain success mindsets that can help you achieve at new levels. So we've hit our turbo button, we have a growth mindset, we've set our goals, we're staying in the lasting zone, now we're getting unstuck. So this is an example of a roadblock. So the road is closed, but on the other side, there's more money, there's better grades, there's better jobs, going to college, and higher test scores. So if we say there's nothing we can do to go around it, you can hit your turbo button. Okay, if we say I'm not smart enough, that's our road closed. I can make my brain smarter through effort, like the term practice makes perfect. We keep practicing until we finally understand, or we just get better with more time that we're putting into something, more time and effort that we're putting into something. So if we sometimes we don't know what to do. So how do we get around that? I have clear goals posted in my room. So you can have sticky notes, write down your goals on a mirror or a wall so that they're there for you to see. And people who write down their goals, it's been proven by many studies that people who write down their goals often achieve them than if we just have them in the back of our mind. And then this one, I never have enough time. What is a success or a solution mindset that we can have? So we can stay in the lasting zone. Remember last week we talked about having instant gratification versus having discipline and not giving ourselves exactly what we want. Because most of the time, if we're in what's called impulsive, it leads to us not being as financially stable as we want. It leads to us being, it can lead to us being overweight or lazy because we're not disciplined in giving ourselves, we can't see the bigger picture and how we're helping ourselves or hurting ourselves. So my problems keep me down. I focus on solutions, what this whole lesson is about. We're going to have problems. We're going to have challenges that we're facing, whether it's day to day. Maybe we have a rough day, a rough week. Sometimes we're going to have a rough month and even a rough year. So it's really important to stay out of that where we're just focusing on our problems. And like I said, there's no shame in asking for help. Sometimes we need the help to see the bigger picture and to get us out of just feeling like we're down all the time. And our very last slide. So just a little quick recap. Sometimes we get stuck. So the key is to focus on our solutions instead of problems. And then having grit means that we keep going in the trial that we're facing, really. So focus on what we can do and what we are, instead of saying can't do, what we're not able to do yet, because we're learning or we're trying to get there. We're taking the steps we need to get there to become successful. So we're going to share for the assignment, we're going to share a stuck point that we've had in our life. And then were you able to get to a solution point or did you stay stuck? And there's no shame in saying that you kind of stayed stuck. Just share maybe how you would move towards a solution point to help yourself get unstuck. And that is it for today's lesson. So thank you for joining, and we will see you next week. Everyone have a great Thanksgiving break or holiday break as well.